Hello, everyone. Hope everybody's doing well. So, today's motivational speech is going to be about technology, global warming, the fires in California. Um, I basically do a lot of research, and one of the research I did was about the focus of private space companies and basically how they develop technologies for themselves to become entrepreneurs even larger, right? So there's a difference between people that are thousandaires to millionaires to billionaires to probably trillionaires in Dubai or in the Middle East where they have oil. The focus on satellite technology, for example, is is rather simple but very complicated. Um, I'm Puerto Rican, so the biggest satellite was there and blah, blah, blah. But today is all about spin launch. It's all about spycrafts. It's all about Elon Musk. It's all about Jeff Bezos um, because they're the most famous. But, there's vacuum sealed satellites. There's new technology of metals. Graphene, I believe, is the other one that's like 200 times stronger than steel, um, but 20 times lighter. Um, the solar technology that Elon started a long time ago, half the people hate him, half the people love him, but that's how it is in Chicago with the mayor. I mean, that's just how it is. When you have something that can be $500,000 launched into as a satellite versus something that's costing $20 million on the ground, then hello, wake up. Graphene. The reason it's so important is because if you're looking for new materials to offer, a stronger way to do things, but it's like copper and it can transfer the electricity just as well, if not better, then why wouldn't you want to do that? It's going to take decades, if not just one decade, because of the rush, that Elon has. It's like it has to happen yesterday. It has to happen yesterday. It has to happen yesterday. Um, he's not dramatic with me talking with his hands and stuff like that, but it's made of carbon. It goes into a honeycomb and it does into the analytics and it gets into its stage. It's like 2 versus 3 and blah blah blah. I'm not a scientist, but I love science. The electricity is far more efficient than copper, um, 200 times stronger than steel. Um, that's what I recall. Now, if you don't care about science, just turn this off. Now, the chemical components in graphene is what's really important. Um, they're able to arrange it in a way that it works. That your cell phone can be part of graphene. The electronics inside of your cell phone can be part of graphene. The electronics in Amazon, which is like 40%, 40 to 50% of it probably in the future, is going to be underground. The reason it's going to be underground is because of the Malibu fires. The California fires from the 70s to today has been completely different. GPS satellites from way back in the day to today, completely different. Technology that you don't understand is technology that I don't understand. Do I want to work for Tesla? That's not an ambition of mine. Do I want location-based technology to be specific on my phone? Absolutely. When I'm using my satellite on my phone to go ahead and get to one location to another, I want it to be accurate. Now, if you're in Puerto Rico in the country lands, good luck with that. There's roads, but you run out of roads in a lot of locations. So I don't know how the signal treats you in that. If I go to Puerto Rico to certain locations, certain cities, you name it, Ponce, Cerro Gordo, Caguas, San Lorenzo. Did I say that? Old San Juan, Hermicao. I forget what it's called. The west side, the east side, the north side, and the south side of Puerto Rico. I mean, it's only 40 miles in length. So to basically travel all of Puerto Rico and find out that it has caves. That in February you can go 200 miles away from the beach to go ahead and see whales in February. You learn a lot about Puerto Rico. I have people all over all those cities of Puerto Rico. I mean, I can't even think of all the names. That's just what I remember. Caguas is supposed to be like the Chicago of Puerto Rico, which is of course hilarious. There's no skyscrapers. It's an island, so I don't know how deep the water is. I know there's cows everywhere. I know there's horses everywhere. I know there's farms everywhere in the country. I know there's sugarcane farms in the flatlands, usually in different areas. So, if you want to be an entrepreneur in Puerto Rico, I'm completely excited for you. The weather here in Chicago has been 40s, 50s, and 60s in December in Chicago, Illinois. So if you want to learn about the fact that global warming doesn't exist, then okay, it doesn't exist to you. It exists to me. There's so much I can say about Chicago, but why do it? Let's say you want to talk about the cows in Puerto Rico versus the cows here. The cows in Puerto Rico are natural. They're eating off the ground. They're eating grass. They're, taking their poops and stuff like that. Here is off the edge of computing. So cows are eating the milk or drinking the milk and eating whatever they're supposed to be eating based off of the scientists. So the scientists are basically donating to them what they want them to get bigger and get more muscular. If you want to eat Wagyu, I think it's called beef from, I don't know what part of Asia it came from. It's the most phenomenal steak you can ever have. But last night, I broke my pattern and I ate some steak tacos. I try not to eat red meat because I was given smart advice by a man about it. And, I lost 60 pounds and, I didn't know if it was 60 or 70 in 7 weeks or whatever, but I'm still diabetic. So my father still tells me you got to check your diabetes. You have to be in order. Not only is it because you're losing weight and your sugar is getting better, but how about if your sugar gets to the point where you're not supposed to be taking the medicine one day? So then let's say you're in the 80s, which is bad for diabetes, for diabetic people to wake up in the 70s and 80s, or good, I don't know, because I refuse to Google these things. I refuse to Google these things because it causes me fear. I don't want to fear about, I can die about this, so I can die about that. Yeah. So, he forces me to do it, so then I do it now. Yeah. Anyway, if you want to own a Tesla, or you don't want to own a Tesla, if you hate Tesla, you hate Elon, you're a Republican versus a Democrat. You love Trump, you hate Biden. You love Biden, you hate Trump. I'm not about all that. Was Trump a celebrity apprentice person? Yes, he was. The weather's so good. Do I have windows slightly open? Yes, I do. It's a little cold outside for like a sweater and sweatpants, and that's it. If you're a person that gets really refrigerated really quick, then you got to have a coat. That's what it's like in Chicago. So I know that global warming exists. And I was having a conversation with my father yesterday. I was like, not only do I have nightmares, but I talk to other people that have nightmares that have my own type of gang history. And it's like very bad to have those nightmares. But if you want to follow technology like Tesla, you want to move into the future and have positive outlooks, as opposed to living in the past and having negative outlooks. He's like, do you know when my grandmother died? And I gave him the years. I was like, yeah, I believe it was this. He was like, I don't remember. I was like, well, your father, you remember when he died? He's like, no, I don't remember. I was like, but I remember this and I remember that. He's like, well, you choose to remember that. I was like, I choose to remember that? He's like, you choose to remember that. He's like, I choose to remember the good parts. That's what I choose to remember. That's a choice. There's hydrogen fuel cells. There's, besides just it being regular gas, there's a lot of people that want to get pissed off about losing gas and it might be $100 a gallon in the future. I don't blame you, but if you're not watching California and all the the furious fires that happen there, then okay, I'm sorry that you don't do that. Um, it's something that can happen in Illinois at some point. You know, if global warming exists, the ice age existed 10,000 years ago, according to scientists. And, you know, the world is not about ships and planes. It's not about aircrafts going to Mars. It's about global warming. It's about politics. It's about us not being able to get along with people at wars in different countries. Is there going to be a war in outer space one day? Did you ever think about that? Did you ever think there was going to be hydrogen cells into nuclear warheads, into some satellite space, into your country being electrified to go ahead and take out the entire fire at once, or to accumulate an entire fire at once, in an entire country? I don't think you understand artificial intelligence to the level that I understand that it's very fearful. Meaning, there's satellites around our world, space technology, a number I don't know, because there's a lot of hidden secrets, and from different countries that can control different roles into different navigational satellite patterns, into different GPSs, into different 1 city to 2 ways, and 3 ways, 6 ways, 100 ways. I don't think you realize how scary our future is. For you not to want to be in a Tesla, for example, and all the other electronic cars that are going to come out like Apple. Are you going to hate Apple? Then you're going to hate Tesla? You're going to hate 2030? 2030 is going to look completely different than 2021, now going to 2022. If you're afraid of that, there's no reason for you to be afraid of that. There are several reasons for you to be afraid of the future. Now, if the war happens, War I, War II, is World War III going to happen? World War III is going to be a lot uglier than World War I and World War II. So if you have people in the military, not only should you thank them and hug them and love them, but they usually come out motivated because they were taught to be motivated, to commit the things that they had to do to be in the military. Do you want to play chess with a robot? Have you ever done that? There are scientists that are homeless. There are artists that are homeless. There are phenomenal creative people that are homeless. There are phenomenal brains homeless, because they have psychological disorders. Now, there's Tourette's. I saw a TED Talk yesterday about swearing. It was like 8 minutes long. And the TED Talk was about swearing and Tourette's and your ability to prevent yourself from swearing and your inability to prevent yourself from swearing. So then what, you're going to have a GPS 3 in your phone in the future? Like, you're going to have the thing the size of this small is going to be your cell phone, and it's going to be on your watch only, and you're never going to have a cell phone in your pocket again. I don't think you know how small technology has gotten versus the cell phone that was the size of a brick when it first came out, and only very multimillionaires had those. I remember my father's first cell phone, because he's an entrepreneur and has been his whole life since I've seen him, since I've known him. First phone he had was in his Toyota Camry. It was connected to his car and had it was black wire with the numbers on the top and an analog and hello, yes. And, you hear all these things in the background and stuff like that. The smartphones that are in your pocket make you a cyborg. If you don't believe that, you can walk into certain people's houses that are multimillionaires and they control their houses with their phones. They basically don't even have to control it with their phones. They walk in and it can judge the temperature of your whole body and go ahead and change the temperature in the whole system to go ahead and make sure that it's heated and air conditioned to the place you want it. Then you walk to another room and it wants to lock the doors in all the whole houses. Then you're like me, you want to have Navy SEALs all around you controlling the whole house. on the outside of the house and inside as well. Um, that's going to be my future if I ever become a millionaire. I remain private, I remain silent with a lot of things, but I'm public when it comes to being a public figure online. Um, I've been through terrible things after even more terrible things. And I've told my dad that. I'm like, I've been involved in a lot of bad things in my life, you know? And he's like, well, you focus on them. That's your problem, is that you focus on them instead of the good things in your life. So he pointed out a lot of good things, and it became like quantum dynamics to me. It became like a lithium ion battery. I'm like, let me just go ahead and put it into my brain. I'm not suicidal. I'm lithium metal. I'm gonna go ahead and change it. I'm gonna meditate. I'm gonna pray to God. Take suicide out of my heart and out of my mind. No way, shape, or form does this have to be a long one. I know that the hour-long ones is for the grocer, the go-grocer, but it doesn't have to be an hour-long one. I want you to actually watch these, enjoy these. I know that my subscribers don't move up or down, so they just stay the same. It's probably just family and friends that want to see what's up with me. And, I've been called every bad name in the book. Very rare. I've been called nigger on YouTube with the ER. I'm only part black, being Puerto Rican, Taino Indian, and Europeans. Mixed them all up and made Puerto Ricans. That's how Puerto Rico was born, and probably just had Taino Indians on there. Then the Europeans brought over the slaves, and they sexed them all together. Sexed them any way they wanted to. And if you go to Puerto Rico, the last thing I'm gonna leave you with is when you go to Puerto Rico, the most beautiful place to go visit, Old San Juan, and then you go travel to I think it's called Mojo. I'm not remembering. I didn't Google this or anything. But you go to the place where it's like a place that have war. So it's the corner that has their ability to, fight wars and has, the cannonballs and all that other stuff. So what you're not realizing is that if you go to visit the place, it's beautiful because of the ocean. There's a funeral home on the other side. You want to go see that. There's restaurants around there that are authentic if you go to the certain restaurants. And they can roast a whole pig and it'll be gone by lunchtime. That's how the small restaurants are in the little hoods that I go through there, little neighborhoods rather. And it's gorgeous, but they have slave areas that they've locked off where they kept the slaves. The way they were shipped over here was just to poop and pee on themselves, not be showered. They were in the basement, just heated. All sleeping on top of each other. That's my memory of Puerto Rico, but I'm supposed to have a good, NFTS kind of mentality, lithium ion kind of, battery mentality. I'll leave you with Bitcoin. If you don't own a whole Bitcoin, then you're not part of the future. It means you don't want anything to do with Tesla. You don't want to do anything with electronic cars. You don't want anything to do with the future of the currency that is happening right now. Then I'm sorry for you. If you want to live in the past and just invest in the regular stock market, regular real estate, regular savings, and be frugal, that will help you as well. But the future has changed, meaning cryptocurrency is here. Okay, Staples Center of Los Angeles, now that they're buying Office Max, they sold a lot of it. I can't even find a Staples in Chicago. There's probably one in downtown and certain in the suburbs. And that's because they're buying Office Max. So they gave away the rights for the Los Angeles Lakers stadium to crypto.com. So if you don't believe cryptocurrency is here making a lot of money, okay. Hope you enjoyed this one.